start the recording now. So Marlon, I'm looking forward to your presentation, as we all are, I'm sure. So please take it away.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been a pleasure participating in these workshops. This is actually my third workshop, and again, it's just been a pleasure. I appreciate everyone being here and sharing your evening with me. I've been a fan of Artomatic for several years now. I've participated as a guest in a few of their events, as well as I've had artists that I've worked with showcasing some of their exhibits and their community activities. So it's a fabulous organization to be a part of, and I just really enjoy being a part of these workshops. I'm going to go through this material pretty fast because I'm going to share my screen right now because again, I have slides that I want to go through to give you guys some visual aid. Just give me 1 second as I share the screen.
Powell is his last name.
Okay, so again, 1 second. Sorry for this delay. Can everyone see the screen? Just get thumbs up or yes in the chat.
Yes, I see.
Awesome. So again, my name is Marlon Powell. I'm the founder of Vibez. It's an art consulting and coaching business. I'm giving you a perspective that's going to come from me as an entrepreneur, as well as a collector and a buyer. So although I consider myself a creative, I'm not actually a visual artist. So again, just keep in mind, this is going to be that perspective as far as the information you're going to hear from me today. Before I get into my presentation, just wanted to share with you my social media handles. If you want to get in contact with me, you can see there on the screen. It's going to be MP Vision, as well as artvibes.co for my Instagram handles. And if you have any questions that we don't get to within this hour, you can also email me, and I usually get back to people very quickly. During my last presentation, I actually had a few folks who reached out to me on social media and gave me some really great feedback, some positive feedback, and just want to make sure, okay, that's not for me. And I just want to answer 2 questions that I wasn't able to get to last week that it may be some questions you guys have this evening. So before I get into my presentation, I wanted to address those questions and also share with you that this presentation and this information is going to be more geared towards the business of art and how you can leverage social media for your business. So it's not necessarily information that's going to show you how to use social media. I'm assuming most of us know how to have a basic knowledge of that, but if you don't, there's plenty of information online that you can Google to find out, how to most effectively use social media. So 2 of the questions that I received last week from someone who participated, they want to know about hashtags and how to use hashtags. Now, hashtags are very, very important in terms of getting discovered. Okay, I've seen thought leaders say you can use up to 30. I don't recommend using that much because it can come off a little spammy, but you do want to use hashtags, again, because they're going to be very important in terms of you getting discovered and people finding your page through the Explorer pages and through those tags. You also can use the tags to find. What I typically do is I'll do a search on the topics or the most popular phrases and keywords that's actually centered around the content that I'm going to post. And it actually shows you, for example, for Instagram, it'll show you how many people are using that hashtag. So I typically, depending on my objective, I'll find the most popular hashtag and use those. If it's 10 million or if it's 20 million tags, I'll use those keywords or phrases. So again, you do want to use hashtags. You want to use, my number is between 7 and 11 or 12, but you can use what you feel comfortable with, as well as So she asked me to share with her what's the best times to post. That depends on your audience, and also you have to keep in mind of the different time zones. My sweet spot for me personally is between 9 and 10 o'clock. That's usually when my audience is at their peak in terms of being on social media, Facebook and Instagram.
PM or AM?
PM, and
Thanks.
also that also gives my folks on the West Coast, they're usually out of work or on their way home, and again, that's usually my high traffic time period between 9 and 10. So I just wanted to touch on those two. But again, this information isn't necessarily about how to use social media. It's more how to leverage it for your business and to really grow your business from a art entrepreneur perspective. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure, in case you guys were wondering or had some of those questions, we can touch that. So just to really quickly, I'm gonna go over what I'm going to discuss this evening. So I'm going to go over my background. Again, I'm going to move a little faster than normal because some of the feedback that I received also was they wanted me to go a little faster. So we actually didn't have time for a lot of questions last week. So I'm going to do my best to stay on topic and keep it to my specific points and not use too many examples so I will leave time for you guys to ask some questions towards the end. It's going to be about 45. I'm going to keep it around 45 minutes and leave some time for Q&A. So I'm going to start off with my background so you guys can get a little bit more familiar with me and know how I got to this place of being an art advocate and supporting the arts, as well as I'm going to share with you how social media has really leveled the playing field. And, I'm a big fan of it. And then, I'm going to go over my 4 pillars, which is SAVE, save. I believe it's going to be very helpful for you in terms of giving you structure for your business and your brand. I'm also going to talk about building trust, the 3 things you need to know when participating on social media. We're going to go over your audience, and I'm going to share a few tools with you and tie it all in and really go over, how this all fits in the big picture and what's the actual science behind all of this activity. Then we're going to close, and I will go over a brief description of the course that I created that actually helps visual artists boost their income and earn full-time income with their art and their creativity. Okay, so let's start with my background. I'm gonna give you the condensed version again because we have a really short amount of time, but my love for art started back when I was about 7, 8 years old. I was fumbling through my dad's his personal items in his wardrobe, and I came across all these amazing sketches and drawings, and I just couldn't believe my dad, actually created that. I went to my dad and I was asking him, "Is this your work?" And he was like, "Yes, son, this is my work." And I was a little jealous at the time because my dad is an amazing vocalist. He's an amazing singer, and I knew he could sing. But I was like, you can draw and paint too. I'm like, how did you get? I didn't. Those gifts weren't actually transferred to me. I can't sing. I can't sing and I can't draw. Can everyone mute themselves? Okay, great. So, those gifts weren't actually transferred to me, but he actually became my biggest, I became his biggest fan rather, and I began to start admiring art and the arts at a very early age. And to fast forward, in 9th grade, my best friend also was a visual artist, and he would sketch all throughout the day and just create these amazing characters right from his imagination. And I tried to do it a little bit myself. I ran home, tried to sketch and draw some characters, but it all went left. I couldn't create anything. I couldn't transfer what I had in my head down to my fingers in the paper. So I just kind of went back to just being a fan of art and admiring it from a distance. But when I got to college, I went to Howard University, the great HU. I was able to find out how I can actually, I found some outlets for me to actually express my art and my creativity. I discovered, their program, their radio, television, and film program. And that's what I majored in and became became in love with, with that medium. I became a writer and producer and a director. I got my first job right out of college in Atlanta with Turner Broadcasting. I became a writer, producer, worked on some great projects, and got to travel a little bit. Really fell in love with that medium, and started my own multimedia video production company. Again, I worked with some great artists, worked with some great people, some great talent, and really in that process, I fell in love with business and became somewhat of a serial entrepreneur. I went on to, start my own real estate appraisal company. I went on to build some clothing brands and just became a serial entrepreneur. But along the way, how this ties into art, along the way, I kept meeting and working with visual artists as a supporter and an advocate. And the turning point for me was throughout these years, throughout the 15 years of me being an entrepreneur, up to that point, I had never met, one single artist that was creating a full-time income off of their art and their creativity. It was always, I do this on the side, it's my side hustle, it's my hobby, or I'm trying to create some income off of my art. It didn't matter if there was a photographer, a sculptor, a visual artist, painter, dancer. It was just always, this is something I do on the side. And I thought that was just, really disappointing, because these were some amazing, incredibly talented, beautiful people who couldn't live the life of their dreams, earning income off of their talent. And so as an entrepreneur, the biggest thing you want to do is you want to solve problems, and so that became, about 6 years ago, that became the code that I wanted to crack and the problem that I sought out to solve. So I rolled my sleeves up. I started working very closely, volunteering and just working with visual artists, trying to figure out what their pain points were and their challenges, and just began to take on the lessons learned from that point on. I was using my own money to host pop-ups and exhibitions so they could showcase and sell their art, just doing everything I could to really support the local artists in this Washington, D.C., Maryland area. And along the way, I just really learned a lot about what some of the challenges they face. And then I created a few months ago, I took the 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur. I paired that with the last 6 years of working hand in hand with these visual artists. And I created this online course, basically taking the 6 most, prominent or biggest issues that I found artists face, and, created this digital online course for them to really help elevate and boost their income and their business for art. So that's how I really got here to this place. And what you're going to hear today is you're going to hear one particular module that's been extracted right from that course and on social media, and how to build your brand using social media. So enough about me. I'm going to actually really get right into it. Again, I know I'm going to move a little fast, so please feel free to put your questions into the chat as they come to you, and we'll try to get to them as many as possible towards the end. Okay, so I don't know how you feel about social media, but I actually love it. I know there's mixed sentiments and feelings about it. There's a lot of things going on social media. Some people may feel that it's a toxic environment, but you have to be very mindful of how you participate on social media. It can be a very, very great tool for the business of art and for entrepreneurs. I believe it's completely leveled the playing field for everyday individuals like you and I to really get in and take full advantage and grow our businesses. Because again, I've been an entrepreneur for about 22 years, and I actually remember a day when you had to get into publications and things like the yellow pages, and if you wanted to get into magazines or the radio, or if you had the budget to get on TV, you had to spend thousands of dollars, sometimes even tens of thousands of dollars, to reach the same amount of people that you now can reach for a fraction of those costs on social media. For example, you can, for as little as a $30 ad, you can reach as many as 5 to 6 to 7,000 people, where and it could be a very specific group, demographic, niche group of people that you're reaching. And to get that from back in the day, from, again, a publication or advertisement online, on TV or radio, it would cost you a whole lot of money. So, you know, most entrepreneurs right now, we're just so appreciative of this tool because you can cut so much of your costs and your expenses by really utilizing social media to expand your reach and your audience. And as we get further throughout the slides, you're going to really see why it's so important to really focus on building your audience. And before we move forward, I want you to write down, you know, your audience is going to be your currency in business. Okay, please write that down. That's going to be very, very important. Your audience is your key. It's going to be the key to your success in business. It's going to be your real currency. Okay. So also write this down. This is going to be very helpful in terms of giving you structure. This is something that I share with many artists that I work with. Again, this is the 4 pillars that I've come up with. I came up with for my business, for Art Vibez. It helps gives me structure. It's something I use on a daily basis in terms of building out my business and brand. And I'll share with you in a few seconds about how I apply it to my business. But essentially, you want to share your signature story, and you want to share your story and perspective when you're promoting, posting your content and promoting your brand on social media. It's going to be very important because, you know, I've noticed many artists, as talented as they are, you know, they will just post their pictures on social media with the idea that if I build it, they will come. And that may have been true in the past, but there's just so much more competition now. There's just so many, you know, what's really distinguishing your beautiful pictures from the millions of other beautiful pictures that are on social media and online today. You have to really begin to share your story and attach it to it. It's not enough just to post your work and just leave it alone and let it happen organically. You know, the other thing is in business that I like to share is people tend to buy into the person before they buy into the product. And the examples I like to give is, you know, when you think of, you know, Microsoft, you tend to think of Bill Gates. When you think of Apple, we used to think of Steve Jobs. And so the same thing applies for your art and your art practice. You know, I've had many, many conversations over the years with artists, with collectors. You know, it's rare that, unless you're speaking to an art historian or a curator, it's very rare that someone will reference art by the art title. They almost always will say, you know, have you seen the Roy Lichtenstein piece, or have you seen the Basquiat piece, or the Picasso piece? You know, and that kind of affirms to me that most people, they buy into the person and the personality of the artist just as much as the art. So you want to begin, when people see you or they see your art, you want them to be, you know, thinking of you. You know, you want that brand, you want your brand to be synonymous with who you are as well as your art. And the best way to do that is going to be to share your story and come up with a signature story to attach to your art. And so you want to begin to do that as you build your content for your platforms. And then the second one is pretty simple. It's, you know, you want to share your art with everyone within your circle of influence, your nearest and your dearest. They need to know that you're in the business of art. You know, I like to, you know, you can create a calendar around major events and holidays and keep, you know, post or send email blasts, email communication, send out newsletters. You want to make sure that you come up with a content strategy to make sure that everyone that you know within your warm market, at a minimum, they know absolutely that you're in the business of art, your art is for sale, and what you're doing and what your offerings are and what your future releases will be. So you want to make sure that you're constantly sharing your art almost on a daily basis. You know, you want to make sure in some kind of form or fashion, you're sharing your art or your art perspective on your platforms, as well as through email communication and your websites. And so then value is a tricky one. I want to take a few minutes to really focus on this one. And one of the things that I want you guys to do, I want you to write this down as well. You know, your perception of price is not your customer's perception of value, okay? It's your perception of price is not your customer's perception of value. They will pay when they see and get the value, the perceived value. And what I like to, I'm a big fan of art therapy. You know, I like to paint for, it helps me, it really connects with my spirit. You know, it helps me release stress and anxiety. And it's just it's a tool that I'm a big fan of. And, someone like me as a consumer, that's what's going to really resonate with me. Most people make a decision to buy based off of emotion. So you want to have a trigger that triggers the emotion of your viewers that's going to get them to buying your art, no matter what discipline that may be. So your signature story is going to be one of those ways that you tap into the trigger, but I share with you in a few slides how you're going to really begin to resonate with your audience and really pull on those triggers. But as far as value's been a tricky thing, especially for emerging artists or new artists. I usually, I'll play around with a few artists who are just starting out, and I'll ask them, if I see a piece that I really like, I'll ask them how much is this piece? And I almost always get this response. It's almost always, well, I don't know. How much do you want to pay for it? And I'm like, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, because I'm like, you gotta own your value. You gotta know your value. I'll say, well, give it to me for $1. And they'll say, no, I can't give it to you for $1. I have to. So they actually understand there's some value there. They're just struggling with, and I understand, when you're starting out, you don't really know where you fall in that spectrum. You don't really know what your demand is. Art is appraised based on your previous sales. So if you haven't sold anything, it's kind of hard to determine the value. But there are ways that you can do it, and you want to make sure that you're defining the value that you're providing. One of the most important things that I think I learned in film school from one of my favorite professors was that, all art, it doesn't matter what discipline, what genre, if you're a dancer, musician, a writer, a visual artist, photographer, it doesn't matter. All art is designed to create a cathartic experience, some kind of emotional release. So your art is taking your viewers on this amazing journey that's creating healing, is creating joy and happiness, is creating this release that is really adding value to their life. And you have to own that. You have to own your value and begin to attach, a price to your art and be okay with charging for it. Otherwise, you're just being a hobbyist. But you have to, if you're going to be in the business of art, you got to become comfortable with attaching value and a price to your art. And again, your perceived value. A lot of artists will say, well, why would someone pay that? Or the same work over here is selling for 10 times less than what, I'm pricing my art for. Why would someone pay? Again, your perceived, your perception of price is not your customer's perception of value. You have to show them the value in your art. You have to show them the value in what you're providing to them. And again, for someone like me who values relieving stress and my anxiety through art and art therapy, I'll pay whatever I have to pay that's going to provide me with that comfort and that joy and that release of stress. So your audience is out there. You just have to connect with them and let them know what that value is that you're providing. And so experience, and through sharing your signature story, sharing your art, and providing this value, you're going to be creating this unique customer experience that's going to grow your audience and also create referrals and repeat business. So how I actually use this for Art Vibez, again, I share my signature story. I have a few short stories that I insert, but I share my story with my audience. And through sharing my story, I actually attract certain customers to me, as opposed to having to be out there in chase mode, chasing after customers. My story and my perspective will resonate with certain people that will draw them to me. And when I actually start communicating with them, I'm actually helping the artists that I work with. I'm helping them through my coaching, through my consulting. I'm helping them build their business through my training and my consulting and my advocating for them. And by doing these things, I'm adding value to their life. I'm adding value to their business. And as a whole, I'm creating this unique customer experience through these stages. So, again, I'm sharing my story. I'm helping them build their art practice or their art business. I'm adding value to their life and their business. And then I'm creating this unique customer experience that helps me grow. And it becomes this cycle as my audience, as my customer base grows, my story begins to grow, and then I go through the same iteration. You know, I'm able to create more tools and you know, more resources for my artists to grow in terms of their business, and then I'm able to create more value for them in the process. So it becomes this cycle that I use every single day to grow my business and my brand. And you know, I believe the same will be true for you as you begin to create this structure for your business. Okay. How's my pace? Am I going too fast, too slow? Cool. All right. So thank you. All right. So building trust. Okay. One of the most important things that you're going to do on social media is you're going to share your content with the idea of building trust. I like to call it KOT. Most people tend to do business. They're going to do business with people they know, like, and trust. Okay. And business people tend to do business or become consumers when they know you, when they're more familiar with you, they like you, and they feel like they have some trust. So your participation on social media, you know, that's a touch that you're really building into your business. You're getting people, you know, you want to be very intentional about how you post. And so you're creating this, you know, you're creating this environment or this culture where people feel like they know you better, they're more familiar with your art, and they feel like they trust and like you. And so, again, going back to my initial example, you know, most people will buy into the person before they buy into the product. So you want to just really keep that in mind, you know, as you're posting and you're creating your content strategy. So the 3 things you really need to know when participating on social media, you know, it's important that you understand your number one your purpose is to be a producer of content and not a consumer of content. Okay. It's very easy to waste away and lose hours and hours on social media being a participant, you know, and a consumer. You know, there's a lot going on, you know, there's a lot of funny stuff. There's a lot of entertaining things on social media. You know, you may get caught up following your favorite animals, pages or something like that. But you want to be very mindful. The biggest distinction between, you know, an entrepreneur on participating on social media and someone that's not an entrepreneur is that they understand that their sole purpose to be on those platforms is to produce content and not get caught up consuming it. Because you know, this may sound cliche, but time is truly money. You know, it's your greatest asset, and you want to make sure you're very mindful of how you spend it. You can lose a lot of hours wasting away being unproductive on social media. The average person makes 2,600 touches on their smart devices a day. They touch their smart devices up to 2,600 times a day. So you want to make sure that the majority of those touches is going to be to build your business and your art practice. Okay. You don't want to I just want to make sure we overemphasize that. Don't get caught up just consuming it. It's very easy to do with all the noise and distractions we have going on in the world today. Okay. So the second thing is you want to avoid, this is very important. You know, you want to avoid driving your sales directly on your social media post. And this is because experts say that most people are on social media to be social, you know, to interact with their friends and family, to be entertained. Very few people are on there to be sold. And to be honest, most people look at it as spam. You know, they just look at it as a distraction. And you want to start pivoting. If that is your behavior, you want to pivot from that, because a lot of the platforms moving forward, the technology is going to, they're going to move to a space where they're removing ads more and more. You know, we're kind of moving towards this adless platform space, you know, where people it'll be rare that you actually see ads right on the platform. You're going to have to go through some other layers to see the ads. So you want to start practicing now with driving your audience and your traffic the proper way. You know, I'll see people post their pictures of their art and they'll say, DM me for a price, or DM me if you're interested. And so what they're doing is they're driving their sales right there on their post. And so there are a lot of more professional, clean, ways that you can drive your audience and drive your sales that will create a more professional presentation. The main purpose for you being on social media is to build your audience, not to drive sales, okay? Your main purpose is to build your audience. You're going to drive your audience to your website or your web funnels. And from there, you're going to have an email opt-in feature where you capture the emails of your audience, and then you're going to begin to communicate with them. I'm going over your sales funnel. I'm sure many of you have heard of the funnel, but this is actually going to be your sales funnel. You're going to capture their email, begin to communicate with them through email communication. You're going to come up with an email content strategy, whether you're presenting them with newsletters, blogs, your art offerings, new releases. You're going to communicate with them. And in the process, you're going to be building in this know, like, and trust, and the trust factor. But you want to drive your sales through email, not on social media. Email is 40 times more effective at sales than Facebook and Twitter combined. It's still the most effective way. All big business is being done on email, but that's how you want to really do it. So you want to avoid driving your sales on your post, okay? And then the third thing, you want to make sure that your content is influencing the share, okay? Word of mouth marketing is still the most effective form of marketing on the face of the planet. So what you're doing when you influence someone to retag your work or retag or share your work, you're really creating an electronic form of word of mouth marketing. And by doing that, you're actually creating more traffic to your page. When you begin to when you're creating compelling, dynamic content that people actually share, those viewers that are seeing that reshare, they're actually going to start coming to your page. And then, if they're compelled to follow you, you've now increased your audience, you're increasing your following, where you can begin to drive that traffic to your website. But you want to make sure that you're intentional about your post, and you're designing it in a way that will get people to sharing your work. And sometimes it's just as simple as asking for the share. If you like this, please share with a friend. I do that often, and you'll be amazed at how many people actually do it. It's just like closing the sale. You have to ask for it. You have to ask for the share sometimes, depending on how, what that post is and what the content is on that post. So be very intentional about how you post and go for the share, okay? So your audience, again, I had you guys write this down in the beginning, but your audience will equal your leads, okay? Leads will be the life source of your business. Your audience and your lead traffic is actually your currency. Again, I kind of shared with you, I kind of just went into that in terms of building your sales funnel. The most important part of this is to have an email opt-in feature, okay? I constantly, on a daily basis, I go and search many artists' websites, and it's very rare that I'll see the email opt-in feature. If I do, it's buried all the way down on the site. And it's something like, for my newsletter, give me your email, something like that. But it should be very prominent in the forefront of your website. That's also why I'm transitioning into funnels. I don't know how familiar you guys are with web funnels, but, it's going to be pretty much the way that a lot of people are. It's already transitioning to that way, but it's going to be the future for how websites are really being designed. Because traditional websites, to be honest with you, are nothing more than just a collection of pretty pictures. They don't drive the sales. They don't create a customer journey. And they pretty much, most people get lost in a lot of the clutter and the distractions on websites. Web funnels are single pages that drive you strictly to the goal of that page, and pretty much walks you through the sales process. Let me see how we're looking on time. Okay, so let me give you a quick example. In the real world, let's say you're a painter or visual artist, and you're at an exhibition, and you're standing in front of your table. You have your work in the background. You're standing in front of your table, and you will typically have a sign-in sheet. Okay, you have a sign-in sheet, and you may have some business cards or some posters that you may hand out to your guests or the visitors. And when someone walks up, you'll introduce yourself. You'll give them a card. You'll ask them to sign your sign-in sheet so you can communicate with them and stay in touch with them in the future and offer some of your art offerings in the future. You may even build in some kind of discount for them signing up. And that actual process is actually what sales funnels or web funnels actually do. There will be a page that will introduce you. It'll be a heading. It'll be an introduction. It'll show your offerings, and it'll say, to receive something for free, opt in here, and you want to have, the offer is going to be very key. You want to have a free offering as well that will quit. You want to have some kind of incentive for them to exchange their email for you. Because again, the email is in the audience is your currency. So you want to make sure that you give them some kind of incentive. Now, in business, most people give out free products. I know for artists, it's very expensive. No one wants to give out free prints, okay? Print product, even if it's poster prints or whatever, prints can be an expensive product to give out for free, or merchandise can be expensive to give out. So what I don't recommend artists actually give free products. What I do recommend is that you give discounts, okay? You can say, in order to get, to get 15% off of my original work of art, or to get 25% off of this G clay print or whatever, you can opt in to get that discount, okay? It'll be worded much better than that, but that's the gist of it. You want to offer some kind of discount in order to get some savings on this work of art in exchange for the email, okay? So that's just something I want to insert in there. And so also, it's important that you're driving. The main reason why you want to drive your audience to your website or your web funnel and capture the email is because this is your currency. You want to have ownership of as much control and ownership over your currency as possible. Your platform, you want to get away from, driving everything on your social media platforms, because, God forbid you say something wrong or you do something that those platforms don't like and they ban you, you no longer have access to your audience. Or these platforms continue to change all the time. I think now TikTok is the new thing, but I think Instagram and Facebook are going to be, they're staples. They're going to be around for a while, but there's always new popular social media platforms coming out. And so they actually control your currency though. Again, they can ban you from their platform, or it can completely go away. And now, let's say you've built an audience of 10 or 20,000 people or 1 million people, they own that currency. They own your audience. By capturing the emails of your traffic and your audience, you have control, and you can actually begin to leverage them to build your business. I believe that, business experts say that for every email you have, it's equal to $1 per month of income. You can leverage those emails into $1 per month in income. So if you have 100,000 emails, or let's say 10,000 emails, that can equate to a $10,000 a month business. Okay, so again, it's very, very, I just want to hone in on that. It's very, very important for you to capture your emails of your audience and really create this tight funnel. Before I move on, I just want to make sure you understand too, back in 2011, 2012, when a lot of the thought leaders have been talking about this for a long time, but once I got into it, when I started trying to leverage social media for business in 2010, 2011, I understood how to grow an audience and drive my audience to my website. What I didn't know how to do though is, once they got to my website, what to do with them. I was like, okay, do I create newsletters? Do I have enough time to focus on all these newsletters and blogs and all these different things? Like, what do I do with the audience? And so all this traffic was just falling out of my funnel. And that's why you want to make sure you have a strong funnel also before you start, depending on your business, before you start spending money on ads. Because, you can drive all this traffic to your website, but if your funnel isn't right, your conversion rates are going to be really low. They're going to be bouncing out. They're going to come to your website. There's no real strong incentive to give you their email, or they give you your email and then you're not following up with a good email campaign or email content strategy. So you want to make sure you're really focusing on these things and really build them in. Okay, so I think I touched on everything that I wanted to touch on. I just, again, make sure that you're capturing the emails of your audience and begin to communicate with them through email and drive your traffic through email. So I want to give you an example. This isn't hyperbole, or I'm not really, I just want you guys to know this is very, very powerful, and many of the biggest artists in the world are using email to drive their business. I received this email on July 7th from Brian Donnelly. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with him, but he's one of the biggest, most successful, commercially successful artists in the world. I'm on his email. I've opted in because I actually bought a few products from him. I can't quite afford his original works of art or even his prints at this point in time, but I've purchased one of his art books and some of his merchandise and figurines. So I'm now opt-in. I'm in his email distribution list, and so he sends out emails when he's doing his releases. And as you can see, this is an example, screenshot from the front page of the email I received on July 7th, where he's selling a series of 7 prints, and it's a special edition. You know, you guys want to really get into editions too. It'll maintain the integrity of your original work, but also create that scarcity effect. You want to make sure that you are starting to build in limited editions of your work. But he's doing an edition of 100, and he's selling them for $8,000 each. Okay, and he says we're now accepting orders and inquiries for a new series of 7 prints. This was the email, and then in the email it has snapshots of those 7 series prints of each of those 7 prints that are going to be available. And so again, this isn't hyperbole. You know, these guys, what I've learned many years ago in business, you know, success leaves clues. You don't want to get into trying to reinvent the wheel. If this is what the most successful people are doing, we want to also do it too. We want to model what the successful folks are doing and incorporate that in our business and execute it as well. Okay, so I just wanted you guys to really see a real life example of how an artist is actually using email to drive his business and grow his business. Okay, so I want to share a few tools with you that's going to help you. You know, the autoresponders. You know, I use MailChimp, and I refer MailChimp in my course because it's one of the most easiest ones to use for me. You may want to use Constant Contacts. There's several out there now. Again, today, it's much, much more easier to build these things out than it was when I started about 10 years ago. But it's, you know, one of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest objectives for my course and my consulting is to save artists time and money by giving them these tools and trainings throughout their art entrepreneurial journey. And also, you know, again, save them time and money, but also give them the tools to do those things. Okay, so the autoresponder is going to be one of those things that's going to really help you. It's going to help you put your business on autopilot, so it'll be moving and building in the background while you're off doing the things that you really love to do, which is creating your art, you know, and exhibiting your art, being in showcases or just painting and creating. And so with a little bit of initial legwork and sweat equity, you can build out these, you know, I did my whole course and automated my whole course in 2 weeks. Now, I have some experience building websites, and I've done these types of things and been on these platforms before. And so I was able to create a lot of content automated in 2 weeks. It may take you 4 to 6 weeks, but it's worth the, you know, and that's maybe just putting in an hour a day, but it's worth putting in the initial sweat equity so that you can free yourself up. And this process, these automation tools will be sending out these emails through these triggers. It'll be you'll set up the time triggers, whether it be a day or 3 days. You know, you want to do at a minimum, I encourage you to do at least 3 autoresponders, or 3 emails that will be triggered automatically. You could do a welcome email. You want to do some kind of newsletter. You want to do a email with your art offerings, you know, showcasing some of your art and what you will be releasing in the near future, or you're currently releasing. You want to make sure you start to build those into your autoresponders. But again, you're going to be building trust, that know, like, and trust factor on autopilot. It's going to be building, communicating with your audience, communicating with your email distribution list. These things are going to be going out independently of you while you're off out building your business and doing the things that you really love doing. Like right now, business is my art. You know, that's truly my art. I love this part of the business. So I'm spending time with you doing this Zoom workshop while you know, my business is working on autopilot in the background. If someone wanted to purchase my course, they can go to the links, they can purchase the course. They're going to get triggered with a series of emails that are on auto responders or auto triggers that's going to walk them through the sales journey or the customer journey. And it's going to collect payment for me. It's all set up to my PayPals and my Stripes is all set up automatic. Money will go to my account. They'll get the courses email sent out to them once a week. It's all on autopilot. Okay. And so this can be same for you in terms of how you build your business and build your brand. It's going to be a little different from a traditional business for you because you are selling art, but it can all be customized for your specific need and your specific niche. Okay. And so the other tool that I want to share with you is Equid. Again, I spoke about not sharing your art directly, selling your art directly on your post. So you want to make sure that you have tools where you can actually create this more professional feel and environment. In Equid, it stands for e-commerce widget. And because it's a widget, you can interface this and integrate it with your Instagram, Facebook, and your website. And it's pretty much an online store. So you can create a store of your art where you can promote it. You can actually link it to your stories and Instagram. You can link it to your post. And instead of trying to sell your art in your post, again, your purpose on your post is to build your audience. So you can focus on building your audience, building that know, like, and trust on your post. And then you drive through a call of action. You're driving your audience to sites like Equid or to your website where you're actually going to get their emails and begin communicating with them. But Equid is going to be a really clean store for you to put all of your art offerings, and you can drive them there, and it's going to be a really, really more professional, cleaner feel and customer experience for your artists or for your potential buyers and customers and clients. Okay, so really look into Equid. It's a really cool. In my course, I actually provide the tutorials and everything, but you can go on YouTube, I believe, and they have, or Equid directly on their site. I believe they actually have the tutorial. It's very user-friendly, very intuitive. It'll walk you straight through how to set up and integrate, create this online store and integrate it into your social media platforms. So I don't see enough artists. In fact, I don't see enough people, entrepreneurs as a whole, taking full advantage of that tool. You know, it's something that will be very, very powerful in terms of separating you from your competition in the marketplace. Okay. So what does this, how does this all fit in the big picture? What's the science behind it? All of this, I call it 7 to 11. Okay. The average person needs around 7 to 11 touches before they make a decision to buy or purchase something. And so the same would be true for your art business. You know, what you're doing by creating all of this energy, creating this vibe throughout your website, throughout your social media, throughout these email triggers, you're creating all these different touches. Again, the goal is to build your audience, and you're going to do that through your signature story and your content. And you're in the process, you're building this know, liking, and trusting in it. And you're creating all these different touches. So when they go to your website, when they go to your social media and they get introduced to you through social media, that's one touch. Through a call of action, you're driving them to your website, that's a second touch. They come to you, they opt in, they get a welcome email from you, that's a third touch. You send them a newsletter or some kind of blog post or some kind of bio. You may want to send your bio or you want to create some kind of content. So that's the fourth touch. The fifth touch may be an art offering. Okay. And so you want to build in these touches and put them on autopilot. So again, you're freeing up your time, and also you're saving money along the way through automating some of these tools. But you want to do that so that ultimately the goal is to build know, like, and trust, build trust with your audience, and they'll ultimately convert into buying customers. Okay, they'll be more compelled to support you. They'll be more compelled to buy into your vision, your story, your art, and that's going to be the emotional trigger that's going to get them to pay for your art. Okay, so that's the science. I think we're towards the end of my time, so I wanted to wrap up. In closing, I just want to go over my course with you real quick. This isn't really designed for this part, but I just I was told I was allowed to share my course, so I just want to go over when you purchase or get involved in my program, the modules that I go through. Again, I kind of collected all of this information over the last 6 years, and I took the 6 biggest pain points that I found that the artists that I work with pretty much face. So the first thing that I touch on is mindset. You know, that's going to be key in terms of anything that you do in business as an entrepreneur, as an art entrepreneur. Mindset is 1000% key. You know, many entrepreneurs will tell you 90% of your success in business really comes down to your mindset. So I make sure that I touch on that and give you a foundation for how to really give your mindset shift. And I really focus on the introvert part of that, being introverts, because most of us as artists are introverts or creatives. And then I go over the power of collaboration, why you want to make sure you're collaborating and creating your success team, how to energize your art brand. That's pretty much what we talked about today, how to leverage social media to build your brand, and then building your art ecosystem, having that model for success and roadmap to get from point A to point B, how to sell your art like a pro, and also how to launch your live event, solo exhibition, or pop-up, and create multiple streams of income. I share my rule of 7. My rule of 7 is 7 different income stream types that I incorporate in every business venture that I do. And I share how I use those in when I hosted my live events for art exhibitions and pop-ups. So I throw in a lot of bonuses. I throw in some special interviews as well with industry experts. And it's, as you can see, it's pretty much a value of $8,997. But of course, we know that's not going to be the price. You know, my actual course, my 6-week course is going to be $297. And again, you get all of these things. I pour a lot of my heart and soul into this. And that's going to be it. What I did fail to do though is I usually attach the link, but if you guys bear with me, I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to provide my link for you if you are interested.
Marlon?
Yes.
Before you do that, there was one question Cheryl asked
Yes.
a little while ago. It was I think it was when you were talking about not advertising on social media, not selling. She says, where does the selling happen if not ads? Can you give some examples?
Yes. So again, the selling happens through your email communication. Okay. So you want to make sure that your intention on social media is to build your audience. Okay. You're sharing your content of your art. You're attaching, your story or the inspiration for the art that you're creating. You can share some of the inspiration for that piece. What motivated you to create that piece, or what's the symbolism or the inspiration behind the creation of that piece. You want to share a little bit about your story. You want to create dynamic content on social media that will build your audience. And then you want to drive them through a call of action to your website and capture their emails. And then all of the sales is going to come through email traffic. Okay. And so what you want to do is when you post, for example, if you post a picture of your art that you want to sell, you can say in your caption, you'll say to find out more information about how you can purchase this, visit my website, and put your website in there, or say the link is in the profile, or however you choose to do it. You want to make sure you're driving through a call of action. Your language is going to drive them to your website. Okay. And then again, at your website, you want to have a mechanism, an email opt-in feature to capture their emails. And the best way to get the email is to have some kind of incentive right there as a headline that says, if you want to get 15% off of my art sales, opt in here, something like that. So that's how you want to do it. You want to drive your sales on. I hope I answered your question, but you want to drive your sales directly on your email traffic.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Any more questions while I'm pulling up my links? I know they mentioned something also about the, there's a tip jar. I'm not sure if you went over
Yes.
that. Okay.
I've sent a link, everyone, at the chat. You can just click and you can leave him a virtual tip. He'll be very appreciative of that. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. Were you going to put your...
Yes, I'm putting it. I think I see everyone. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. Also, I'm going to share another link for traffic. It's a product. Now, full disclosure, I get a little fee. It's an affiliate link, but that's not really the important part. The important part is that you guys get this information. It's an amazing tool I've used for learning a lot about web traffic and online traffic and how to build and sell online. So I want to add that link as well. It's a traffic secrets book.
Marlon, just one other question.
Yes.
As you're adding that, Cheryl asked, can you speak to Linktree? It seems to be on a lot of Instagram pages these days.
Linktree?
Yes. Cheryl just asked the question.
I'm sorry. I'm not too familiar with Linktree. I'm not too familiar with Linktree. Okay. I'm sorry. Is it Linktree? Is it a platform where artists are selling their work? Is it like Etsy or something?
No, it seems like in people's Instagram bios, they have this link tree, and that's where it seems like they're either, you can go to their landing page or their PayPal. I just lately have been seeing it a lot, so I didn't know if you were familiar with it.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's, let's see. Oh, yeah, it looks like it's something that is attached to Instagram.
Okay.
It looks like it may be because it's saying to log in, it says sign in with Instagram. So it might be something that one of those platforms that that's really integrated with Instagram. But no, I'm sorry, I'll look into it though. That's not something that I'm very familiar with. But there's the landing pages and opt-in pages are going to be, it's the way of the future, again. And it's not necessarily the way of the future. It's actually been around for a while. My main goal is to really catch up visual artists to the last 9-10 years where big business has been moving towards for the last 10 years. This has been that whole, offer. So to give you a quick tip too about online business, you want to make sure that there's 3 things that you want to make sure that you have when you're building online sales. You want to have a hook, story, and an offer. And so your hook is going to be, again, something that incentivizes your audience to really opt into your email. Okay. And then once they opt into your email, you want to have your story that you're sharing with them, because your story, all of this is marketing. Okay. All of sales and business is marketing. So the best way to market is going to be through your story, your perspective. And then once you share your story, then your offer is your art. It's pretty. Artists have, I think, a leverage in business because most entrepreneurs are trying to find a product to sell. They're trying to find intellectual property or product to sell. You guys have a leg up because you're creators and you have a product already. You're creating products through your art process. And so what I find is the biggest challenge for artists is the other stuff. It's how to establish a hook, how to market themselves, the business of art. That's the mystery for a lot of artists. They have this beautiful storefront of art, but it's how do you get people in? And it's going to be, I believe, it's going to be through your story and attaching your story to your art. And that's what's going to make you stand out. And once you find that sweet spot in how to really, find your voice and how to really attach the stories that you want to attach to your art, or the story behind the art, it's going to be very successful for you. But it's going to involve putting together all of these tools. To be successful in business, you have to be very intentional and very strategic. It's, again, I showed you an example of one of the biggest selling artists in the world, that he's using email. We all should be using email communication to sell our art. So,
Marlon, I have 2 questions.
yeah.
When you keep referring to the story, your story is, as you introduced yourself, is going into your father's closet and seeing his artwork. Is that your story?
That's one of them.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's one of your stories.
Yeah.
Just want to, that makes it tangible.
Yeah, I have many now. And actually, I was going to quiz you guys, but we were running a little behind. But I actually use quite a few examples of the tools that I use throughout. So I shared with you in the beginning, I shared with you one of my signature stories. I shared with you my Instagram handles. I'm driving you guys to my social media.
Funneling.
Yes.
Funneling. Funneling.
Funnel.
Funnel, right? Is that what you're?
Oh, funnel. Yes, funnel.
Yes.
Yes. I use ClickFunnels to create my funnels. So it's one of the most popular growing platforms. You may have to get training on how to design them, or you can pay someone for a very small fee, for about $100 or so, to design your own. Because it can be, if you're not familiar, I actually have been doing this for a while, so I figured it out, and I actually, I used the help desk a few times, but I figured it out and I created my own funnels. But it can be a little challenging if you're new to that process, because it's a lot of moving parts when you get in there, and understanding how to create these elements and these columns and these sections and insert pictures and video. It can be a little overwhelming, but it's once you have them built out, they're very, very useful in terms of walking you through the customer journey. Again, it removes a lot of the fluff and the clutter, and it drives the customer or the viewer directly to your objective. So if you want them to see your video, it's going straight to you're driving them straight to the video. If you want them to see your art offerings, it's gonna move you straight to your art offerings. But the end result is to really get them to a place where you're communicating with them through email communication. And then you want to I don't know how advanced we want to get with this, but you really want to begin to upsell. The funnel is designed for the upsell process. So what I recommend for artists to do is to create 3 types of offerings. Again, you guys are very, for painters at least, for visual artists, you guys have an advantage because it's really, really easy for you guys to do. For visual artists, you can create a low-cost product, what they call an LCP, or a low-cost product, or a minimal viable product. That's going to be your lowest cost product, and that's usually the poster print, okay? Or you may want to do a canvas print. And then your mid-price product is going to be your G-clay. That's a higher price print, right? You may want to get into G-clay printing. And then your prime product, or what some people call the elite or advanced product, is going to be your original works of art. So one of your incentives may be when you opt in, you say, opt in to get 15 or 20% off of my original works of art. But the very first email that they receive is going to be a print offering. You send them a welcome email, and then you send them an email with some of your prints that may be $50 or $75. Okay, after they've seen that, the next day they will receive the email that say, if you like that work, or if you purchase you know, whatever the language is, you go to your mid-price work. You know, you may have a $400 or $500 G clay, right, that you're offering, and then you may have an email that follows that say, you know, thank you for being a customer, or thank you for following my community, my art brand. You know, if you really like my work or you see value in my work, you know, check out my originals, which are 15, 2,000, 5,000, whatever. But you want to walk them through that. You don't want to just, what I see a lot of people do is, you know, just push on to them, you know, the original. And it may take you 4 or 5 months to sell the original. Some people, it may take a year or two to sell one original. And what I drive artists to do, a lot of artists in the beginning, they don't want to get into prints. They believe it compromises the integrity of their work or whatever. And a lot of them just don't know how to get into print production. So I go into that in my course as well. But the example I share is, let's say you have an original work of art for $1,500, okay? It may take you however long it takes you. It may take you a few months to sell that one original work of art. But you can make 15 prints, 15 G clays, if you want, and sell 15 at $100, and still get $1,500 off of those 15 prints. And you can do that in a matter of few hours at one event. You know, at one art fair or one showcasing, you can sell 15 prints for $100 and make that in 2 hours versus taking 2-3 months, sometimes even a year to sell that one work of art, that one original for $1,500. So prints are a very, very powerful tool. There's some really great print shops in Baltimore that aren't too expensive. There are a few, I believe, in DC, but most of the print houses that I recommend and I refer folks to are in Baltimore. And again, it's a lot of artists who are making a really, really good living off of their prints. So
Marlon, I'm sorry, my other question has to do with you being a film major from Howard University.
yes.
Okay, so how can you somehow translate what you've just explained to being a writer in the movie industry, being a writer, you know, and trying to, I don't want to say hawk your wares in that respect, you know, sell your stories?
Yeah, it's it's really helped me. I'll say it's helped me a lot in terms of I love writing and I love storytelling. I love the whole creation process. So what initially motivated me about art and just art in general is the ability to create something from nothing, you know, and that's through writing, that's through painting, that's through film. You know, that same passion that I have for visual artists, I have that same passion for art in terms of when you write a story and you create that beginning, middle, and end, and you actually take your thoughts and your imagination, you put that on paper, and then you actually take lighting and film and audio, and you take talent and you bring that thing to life that was written down on paper that actually came from your imagination. To see people actually play that out, you know, and create that, and to see the whole process from beginning to end, all the way to the production, the post-production process. It's a fascinating thing to see the sound guys and the editors, you know, get involved and start manipulating and enhancing your ideas, because you'll see someone in the post-production process that'll take your idea and take it to another level and take it in directions you had no idea that it was going to go. And it just, you know, the sound and the lighting and all these things come together, again, just from something that you thought of out of your mind and your imagination. So
my question is, in what you're saying, and in that whole process, because it is a start, a middle, and an end, and the final production, as a writer, as a film person, potentially, how do you translate using this leverage, this media, social media leverage, to sell your idea that you've written?
The same way, the exact same way. The only thing that I would do differently with filmmakers is I would do more video. Okay, I would share my story. I would do more vlogging and podcasting. So there's different for writers. You want to focus. If you're a writer, you want to focus on blogging, right? You want to focus on blogging, and there's a lot of resources. If you're a blogger, if you're a writer, you want to go to medium.com. Okay, medium.com is going to be a very, very powerful platform for you to get your writing out to millions of people. It's a great audience platform for you. But if you're a writer, you want to focus on writing platforms and blogging. If you're a filmmaker, I would recommend you focusing on Instagram is a great tool, but I would also recommend YouTube. Okay, the social media platform you want to focus on for a filmmaker, you want to focus on YouTube. You want to create videos that share your ideas and your stories. Okay, you may want to create short stories or short films. You know, you may want to get into my thing was I did a lot of independent documentary films, and this is right before Facebook and all that came out. So I was a little disappointed, but you can shoot your stories and film your stories and put them right on YouTube and build this audience through YouTube. So those YouTube and Instagram, I think, would be great platforms for filmmakers. And depending on, you have to, each social media platform has a personality, okay? So you want to make sure that your business is matching up with the personality of that platform. For many business owners, LinkedIn is an incredible, powerful tool, okay? LinkedIn is really powerful for a lot of business owners, but for creatives, I found that LinkedIn isn't the plot. That's not the personality. LinkedIn doesn't have. It's like you're dating. It's like a marriage. You don't want to be married to LinkedIn because you're not compatible. But for a filmmaker or visual artist, you want to get into YouTube primarily, and Instagram is also a great tool and platform. But vlogging is going to be very, very powerful, you know, for filmmakers to share their story. And you don't have to spend a lot of money doing it. You know, some of the most successful individuals out here, they're taking their phone and they're like this, you know, they're talking, they're sharing, you know, they're going throughout their day and they're sharing pieces of their story. You know, what they find interesting, what subjects they find interesting, what subjects moved them, motivated them, you know. But that's it. You want to do it the same way, but you want to find the platform that speaks to you the best.
So that's creating content.
Yes. Yes. You want
Thank you so much.
You want to be on video platforms for filmmakers, and the biggest one is YouTube. YouTube.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Marlon. We are running about 20 minutes over our time, and we are still here, which means you're doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here.
So any final words? So any final questions before we exit this? We're running way over our time, but we are still enjoying ourselves. So if anyone has any other questions or you have any final words to say, Marlon?
Yeah, if you have any, yes, I love feedback. So, because that's the only way I can get better at sharing my content and my information. So if you have any more questions that you think of later, again, please email me at info@artvibez.com. That's Artvibez with a Z. And again, if you feel compelled, you know, leave me a review or some feedback that I can use to help grow and improve my business. So thank you guys for participating in this with me.
It was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You want to leave your opening page on so we can take pictures of your information? Perhaps that might be a way for...
Yes.
people to capture all your social medias and everything else.
And thank you very much, moderator. You're wonderful as well.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to take a photo of this as well. Camera. Has everyone got a picture so we can always be in touch with Marlon? Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. And there is a virtual tip bar. Again, I would say you just click on the link and leave him something if you're willing. And thank you all so much for joining us. I enjoyed it tremendously, as you guys have had, because you're still here.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. So, sorry, do you have something else to say?
No, I was just saying, keep creating, and I look forward to meeting you guys in the future.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Thank you all. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye. Oh, I need to stop this first. Stop recording.